Hello. Happy Wednesday. First webinar of 2026. We thought we'd start it off with a hot topic and kick it off with a valuable series for all our clients. And we just want to kick it off. I'm joined today with my colleague Selby Coetzee, who's our Director of Data and AI. My name is Anouk. I'm the Vice President of Partnerships at Techify. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you're just joining, there's a poll up. If you joined prior, same thing. If you could just give us a little intel as to where you're at, and I'd like to introduce Selby to walk us through that poll. Hi, Selby.
Hey, Anouk. Awesome. I'm so happy to be here today. Our poll really revolves around just understanding a simple question related to if your organization is currently using Microsoft 365 Copilot.
Looks like there's a majority of yeses so far out of the 13 responses. But if you join and it's still up, please give us the data. You can always let us know afterwards. So we have a Copilot ready team ready to present to you. Before we get started, we're just going to let you know about the series Selby and I are putting together for all of you, which is we're doing more of an introduction to Copilot and what's new in 2026. But what we're going to be doing is using the following months to go through the apps in more depth. So for example, February will be Teams, March could be Word, April could be Excel. We want to give you the ammunition to understand how to use a lot of these features and train you and educate you in a deeper manner. Today, we're going to walk through some of the new gains and we'll be more specific. So Selby, why don't you walk us through what we have lined up for our clients today?
Sure. So we would love to start with a reflection and go into 2025. How can we summarize the Copilot related developments, the releases, and really just look back so that we can really start with a good foundation. And then we'll cover a little bit of the newness related to Copilot and really what to expect in 2026. We will go through each specific Microsoft application and highlight a couple of new developments, which I think is very exciting. We'll step through a little bit more about unlocking that productivity, so really how to get the best out of those new releases in the applications. We'll walk through the uncomfortable truth. There's a few elements that we do want to highlight in terms of Copilot as a productivity tool and really what to do in terms of making the best and getting the most out of it. And then we'll do a bit of a conclusion and of course a Kahoot as well.
I think the Kahoot's everybody's favorite part. Thanks, Selby. So if we look at Copilot in 2025, Selby, why don't you summarize for us a little bit the gains in 2025, and then we'll start exploring how we're kickstarting 2026.
Awesome. So I think in one sentence, really, if we look back in 2025, Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot was everywhere. It really was something that was new. It was kind of developing. We were finding our feet, really seeing in all of the different applications where to go, how to access it, and how to get the most out of it. So really understanding that Copilot was everywhere, and that will really be kind of the highlight that we look to 2026 for in terms of how it's changed. So it was built into Word, Excel, Teams, even Windows. So of course, now it is available in the new Windows operating system. It was positioned as being that central productivity tool that you could use as a companion, which I don't think has changed necessarily. It's really just the approach and understanding how to go ahead and access it that has changed and really evolved a little bit. And then, of course, we are all very excited as far as AI goes. So looking at how that usage has changed and really understanding the kind of self-directed nature of Copilot and how it served us in 2025. Generally, I feel like it was a tool that we started using and we determined how we wanted to integrate it in our workflows. And we'll see a bit of a change in that in terms of 2026. So having that productivity gain, but having it be very dependent on the specific users. And I think the result here really did speak to pockets of productivity gain, but no a real enterprise level or organization-wide transformation, which is really what we want to get to.
100%, Selby. I think people were seeing these bright colors everywhere on their screen, seeing these little icons, but not too sure what to do with them necessarily. And now we're taking it to the next level with all the Copilot transformations. So if you were to resume the core lessons from 2025, what would that look like?
Sure. I think Copilot really did provide the functionality, the capability, but a lot of our workflows remained the same in terms of we still had to go to Excel to make sure that we did a bit of data analysis, perhaps supported by Copilot, and go to Word, for example, to write out our documents. So the workflow stayed the same in terms of where we went to do our work, but we had the Copilot assistant really to support us. The second item there really is the kind of understanding the value that Copilot had to offer and potentially the return on investment. And I really do think it emerged in terms of, our thoughts, how we were going to approach Copilot, the value that it was adding to our team, but really a lot of the processes still remained the same, which is something we want to get to really evolving and developing and improving. So we believe, of course, in terms of strategy, that leadership direction really is what we want to get to in terms of AI-related implementation and transformation.
Completely agree, Selby. And now we're going to move it over to 2026. One quick plug I wanted to put in as Selby shared the core lessons of Copilot is when Copilot launched as an AI tool in competition with chat, think of it as there was the same skeleton, but they had different plumbing. Copilot's very, very protective of cybersecurity concerns, right? So it was very conservative in what it would allow, which created not as nice of a user experience. But what happened with Copilot is they listened to a lot of the feedback from the users. And 2025, they dedicated a lot more time in their development in terms of the user experience and getting their plumbing up to par. So I wanted to make that important stipulation because I didn't want viewers to think that Copilot is just not always as effective as chat. It is different in terms of the guardrails it puts in place in your work environment. And when it's set up, it can be just as efficient, and they've done quite a bit of work on their plumbing. So what's new with Copilot in 2026? It's gone from helping with just tasks to powering how they get done, right? So it's creating that overall ecosystem versus being just a quick fix. The second thing is it's not just a writing assistant anymore, right? It reasons across your various business data. And what does that mean? It means that when Copilot is doing a search and you have a paid 365 license, it is able to access your data within your Teams, within your SharePoint, within your Outlook, within your Word, within your Excel. So any communication you've had, it's able to dip into that versus having the free license, which is not incorporated into your workflow. And it'll drive workflows and not just responses. So what we find is really effective is, we don't want to take it too far in terms of agents, but Copilot has a lot of options where you can support certain workflows on a basic or more involved level and make sure that you can support accountability and the own it component of all the KPIs that everybody does within organizations. So when we look at Word, we're going to give you a brief overview of what's new in each application. And as I said earlier, we're going to do a deeper dive as we enter the series. Selby, tell us a little bit about what's new in Microsoft Word in 2026 that we want our clients to know about.
In 2026, I do think that Copilot has gone from supporting a lot of our drafts to helping support some of the decisions that we need to make surrounding the data and the information that we're trying to compile. So really, it's able to now understand the overarching context, not just necessarily the sources that you're referencing with that forward slash that we're very used to and that we're very passionate about, but it really does understand the organization, your role in the organization, how it needs to pull in the information. And now also, it's not just necessarily limited to being able to draft documents. You're able to pull in and perhaps transfer to PowerPoint slides directly within Microsoft Word, or you can go ahead and reference tables from Excel directly in Word. So it's all becoming that one central platform that we're able to use and leverage going forward. So of course, drafting policies, proposals, client communications really is the baseline, but 2026 is where we're building building from that. So we're really reducing how much time we're spending writing, how much time we're reviewing those documents, and really making sure that we're able to make those decisions a lot faster. We're spending time on the strategy and the workflow that we're really trying to get to there.
Awesome. And we even have a little bit of a video to show you how you can use Copilot. So it'll understand your internal documents and it can instantly turn them into executive print-ready summaries, right? Which is what Hugo was kind enough to put a video together to show us. One stipulation that I do want to share, just in terms of user experience, is when you are working within the application of Microsoft Word, it is a different experience than if you're working from the 365 app icon where you can open it up and / reference a document. So I'm going to try to simplify what I just said. In Copilot, when you are referring to a document within your environment, / is your magic wand. So when you click on the /, you will have a drop down of, are you referring to an email? Are you referring to a Teams message, etc. You will have extensive capabilities in what you can do with your Word file within the app 365 Copilot versus just working within the application. When you work within the application, what's nice is think of it as a coach, right? So I was building something last week, and then what I do is I use the Copilot to kind of coach me to achieve what I want with the Word, but it's important to understand the differentiation in those user experiences. Now Excel, not the sexiest app, but very, very important app when it comes to running a business. Selby's had a lot of experience. She's worked with one of our CFO clients. We also ran a series for the CFO Center. So Selby, tell us a little bit about the Excel magic we can expect in 2026.
Of course, I'm a data person, so a lot of the work that I do first starts in Excel. And really, again, just looking at the development in terms of having that Copilot chat be the central location for being able to support you in doing anything and everything. So now, for example, we have the capability of calling agents directly in the Copilot chat in Excel, which supports you in making those kind of business questions become and be something that is analyzed and answered directly through Copilot based on your business context and the information that you really want to see and you really kind of need to be able to make those decisions. Last year, for example, Copilot was restricted really just being able to use table-related data and information in terms of formatting. Now it's able to use multi-sheet data sets. So it's no longer just limited in the amount of data or the volume of data it's able to use and pull in. It really is able to analyze that information and again, centralize the functionality or the end result that you might want to see in terms of the documentation. So really generating those insights and not just necessarily supporting having those spreadsheets be generated and then going from there.
Awesome. And we have an example here, providing insights from the sheets and creating a really nice report. Selby, if you look at the chat and you have a Power BI question, I know that you love Power BI, so I'll let you tackle it. Here's what I will say. Data is fantastic. We are very much powered by data. But when you are presenting your data, if it is not landing, if it is not sticking, and if it is not understood, you're not really running it across the finish line when you're trying to get a budget approval or whatever it is, proposal for a project. So where Copilot I find is incredible is in how it will lay out the information, right? So if we fast forward a little bit in this video, you're going to be able to see Hugo had Copilot create these nice forms, these nice reports that were much easier for someone to understand and view. So you see here, you have nice graphs, there's colors, and you can play around and let Copilot know the format you want to receive it in. Now, PowerPoint, one of my favorites as well. We use PowerPoint to create all our quarterly strategic meeting decks. We use PowerPoint to present internally. We have agent competitions at Techify, and we'll use PowerPoint to present them. So PowerPoint is something that I feel can be very well used, but it's not always used as much as it can. So what happened in 2026? It went from a slide creation to a storytelling, right? So it's now able, even if you have the license where you're able to design in Copilot, so create, you have the option of asking for when you're creating a deck for it to be created as the PowerPoint. So there's a couple layers I think we need to go through here. First one is you can do it within the Copilot 365 app. You can do it within the PowerPoint app. You can also use the free version for guidance on how to create a slide strategy. But if it is not tied into your environment, you won't be able to get the same experience when it comes to creating decks. So you can build decks from notes and documents. I like to usually lay out all my data in a Word file. And I'll work where it says clearly slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. You can work with Copilot to refer to / that Word file, and then you give it instructions about certain colors you want. Do you want images to support what you're saying? How many pages do you want your deck to be? Give it instructions. It can structure narratives automatically, so there's more of a logic happening. And the more you work with your Copilot, the more it will also get to know you and understand how you work. And it'll cut preparation time dramatically. Here's what I say always. AI isn't going to replace you, but what it can do is it can get you 80% there. So the admin work that used to take a lot of time and is exhausting, you've already got the deck template, and then you can go in it and refine it as you wish. So Selby, do you want to walk us through an example of how we could create a fantastic deck within Copilot, within PowerPoint, pardon me?
Sure. I think in terms of PowerPoint, of course, I'm also not the most creative person. I do rely on Copilot quite a bit to help me generate slides. So here we have an example of utilizing Copilot to create a slide deck for us based on information that we do have and that is saved and is accessible to Copilot. One of the elements that I do think is important to call out is the development and the advancement of being able to use baseline templates. Copilot, of course, will always suggest a template for you to use, but if you do have any business-related templates that you wanted to leverage, you can call in those elements as well. And then additionally, or addition kind of to that, would be just the extent to which it now is able to generate the slide, add the speaker notes, add the images, and bring everything together, which has really come a far way.
I agree, and creates beautiful, colorful, captivating decks. Okay, so our next one, we have 2 left, 2 very, very important applications. So everybody knows Outlook, right? And I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm going to assume a lot of people on this webinar may feel they spend too much time in Outlook, me included. Very difficult to feel like you didn't respond to every single email in the time you want. So there's a lot of new features in Outlook to help us save time, be more organized, be more aligned. And I'm going to let Selby walk us through them because she set them all up for herself. So she's got some great pointers for all of you in terms of how to power your productivity with Outlook.
Sure. So of course, in Outlook, and really when we look to our inbox, I think a lot of us have a lot of emails that is kind of a string or is a thread. So we have back and forths. And what Copilot really has done, and it's kind of leveraged the GPT 5.2 model now, and it's able to summarize based on the context. And again, it's looking at that context on a deeper level where it's understanding your role, what will be important for your role, what is important for your role in your organization, and it's able to identify and pick out all of those elements and summarize those long threads on your behalf and for you so that you know what's important for you to take note of. And then when you do go ahead and start a draft or start replying, it is now context aware. And it was context aware last year as well. However, it was very limited. So the responses that you're able to really create now is, I think, a level deeper and is a little bit more detailed in nature. And then it helps turns those emails into next step actions. So you're able to integrate your inbox or Outlook now with planner, with projects, kind of taking note of those action items. Maybe you can even leverage and create a bit of a flow to help you pull in all of that information so that your action items are centralized.
Yes. One prompt that we always like to share is, you know, when you go on vacation and you come back and you think, oh, wow, I have 300 emails in my inbox. And you could just go into your 365 Copilot and just say, hey, listen, can you provide a report? What are the top emails I need to answer? And it can almost create a bit of a follow-up strategy for you so you don't feel so overwhelmed. So it's really fantastic in creating some of those tools. Now, Teams. Teams is really interesting because you can get a Microsoft Teams premium license. And what does that mean? It means that you have access to the Copilot features within Teams, but solely within Teams. I think it's an important plug for a lot of our clients because not all clients will necessarily have the budget to equip every employee with a Microsoft 365 license, which is about $42 a month. But sometimes you want to make sure that your team has the tools so that they can capture all meeting notes and they can be really efficient. So whenever you're dealing with a bit of an office manager role, an EA role, it's transformative when they can capture those meeting notes. So when we look at what's new from Teams in 2026, you really have those live meeting summaries and clear action items. So what does that mean? I could join a meeting late. Selby, Brendan and I could be in a meeting. I joined 10 minutes late. I just pop open my Copilot on the top right of the meeting and I just say, hey, catch me up. Was my name mentioned? Catch me up. And they don't even see that, right? So that's fantastic in terms of when you're running a busy life and you're going from meeting to be caught up. The action items are assigned automatically. I would say they've really stepped up in terms of the QC, right? So initially when you're rolling out features, I'm sure if you've tried to create an image with AI, you can understand what I'm talking about. It's not perfect right away. But I have to say, I use Teams Copilot for almost every meeting I run, and I've never had an action item incorrectly captured. So it does a very good job. It's very accurate. And it allows us to be way more present in meetings. So if I wasn't able to use this tool, I'd be manically taking notes because a transcript to me is too broad and doesn't lay out the clear action items. So it allows for a higher level of EQ, presence, and connection, which I think the universe is craving right now with all the technology that is surrounding us. So Selby can walk us through. She uses this on her huddles, one of the teams she runs. So Selby, why don't you walk us through kind of the use case and how you're using Copilot Teams?
So in 2025, we had the Copilot chat in our meetings, which really did help for kind of recap purposes. But now instead of going ahead and kind of interrogating or asking it questions throughout the meeting, there is a new release that is currently available called Facilitator that you can enable for all of your meetings. And this is currently enabled for one of our meetings, one of our huddles, and it takes notes. It really does also understand the agenda of your meeting so that when you are kind of currently going through the meeting, you don't necessarily need to remember what the agenda is. It reminds you. So it steps you through the agenda. It understands the time frame, how long more or less you need to spend on each component or each element. And then it will remind you to move on if you might be going on a tangent, which I think is quite helpful, especially in some of my teams. And then also it will take notes and it will assign action items throughout the meeting. So we don't necessarily now need to wait until after the meeting to see the meeting transcript or the meeting recap. We also don't need to necessarily go to Copilot chat. The facilitator is taking the meetings for us and is updating those meeting notes in real time, which I think is really, really valuable.
Yes, I would say, I'm sure we've all been in meetings where there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of opinions. And what happens with this tool, right, Selby, when you create an agenda, there's certain things you want to accomplish in the meeting. And so it becomes a bit of a sidekick where it's not that you're muting staff and you want people to speak up, but it helps redirect you and keep you on track. So it's really a fantastic tool when you're running teams and for team collaboration. So it goes without saying, we feel very strongly that when you're dealing with Copilot, it will absolutely unlock productivity. How will it unlock productivity? It will unlock productivity by drafting emails, reports, presentations, summarizing documents. So the world's your oyster. Again, Selby and I encourage you to start slow and learn as you go versus trying to use all the applications at once. So our recommendation would be think about an app you're in the most. So obviously, I think everybody uses Outlook, but let's say you use Word a lot. Our challenge for you would be focus on Word in the next couple of weeks. Start playing around with it if you have Copilot 365, and it'll make you more familiar with it. Now, Selby, walk us through the workflows frontier, because that was a very important addition, and we wanted to share that with our clients.
Sure. So one of the elements when we look to 2026 is having Copilot have kind of autonomous agents, or at least kind of going into a little bit more detail when it comes to agents. So this is an example of an agent that is part of the Frontier program and is also being released currently, and you might find if you have Microsoft 365 Copilot being available to you out of the box, and it integrates various elements of your workflow. So in the example that we currently have here, it is taking emails from an inbox. It is identifying which of those have not yet been replied kind of by the user. In this kind of case, it is me and a test inbox. And then it's really sorting those and identifying based on our role, what is the critical elements that needs a reply ASAP because we haven't yet in about a 48-hour time range. And it's sending us a Teams message at the start of each day at 7 a.m. to say, you have not replied to these emails, please do so at your earliest convenience. Or it's quite friendly as well in terms of how it is set out. But it's showcasing kind of the integration, it becoming that one singular, that one central platform, which is really what we wanted to illustrate here.
Yes, 100%. And I'll let you walk us through our final example, which is helping someone prepare for a board meeting, which a lot of us have had the experience of having to do.
Oh, yes. So in many cases, you might have fantastic reports. This is an example report from a Power BI dashboard, and really just a screenshot that was that we took from that. And Copilot can now understand images, and it really is able to, in a complex nature, analyze images without having the raw text or the raw data to help you make conclusions. So I know we had a question surrounding Copilot in Power BI, which leverages the raw data sets that you might have that exists within the Fabric or the Power BI environment. And that's one way to really leverage Copilot. But another way might be to really use those dashboards and kind of integrate and query it through the Copilot chat that we have here.
Yes, I know we're giving you a lot of information, but again, take a few notes and you can start exploring as you go. All right, so moving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about one last piece, which is the uncomfortable truth. And what is the uncomfortable truth when it comes to Copilot, even Chat Plus, like tools we're incorporating in our day-to-day, is that productivity isn't automatic. So a lot of times we meet with people and they literally think turning on a Chat Plus, turning on Copilot 365, and then it's just magic's going to happen and automation productivity will follow. That's not the case, right? So it's not as simple as a switch. When you're thinking about Copilot, it will provide a lot of capability, but you need to make sure that your workflows are reviewed and possibly redesigned. And why? Because when you're looking at an agent, when you're looking at having repeatable tasks done by your AI, you're going to need to test them, and you're going to need to make sure that it's crystal clear in terms of what you're expecting it to go to in terms of next steps. So we always recommend ensuring that you work with a partner to make sure your workflows are redesigned and that they're crystal clear for AI use. And you'll need guidance and enablement when it comes to your team. So for example, Selby and I, we're extremely AI curious on a personal level. So we'll spend weekends exploring, but not everybody in your company will be that way, and that's okay. But you want to create a structure to enable them to learn how to use it and feel empowered and not deflated. People don't like change. And so if leadership doesn't support and determine the return on investment it wants from the tool, it'll be a lot harder for the rest of the company to follow suit. We find that when leadership teams are using AI, leading by example, sharing wins with their teams, it is very contagious, and people start to observe the behaviors. So for our conclusion and a recap, Selby, I'll let you take it over.
For our conclusion, I think that there are 4 main elements that we wanted to make sure that you take into 2026 when it comes to Copilot. And the first item really is seeing it as that one central platform. So it's gone from an assistant that was available and is available in various applications to now being that one central platform that you can use for various workflows, for various elements, and you can pull in elements from all of those applications. organizations. And the second item really is kind of understanding the workflows and seeing it as no longer just a tool, but something that will evolve and change completely some of the workflows that we execute on a day-to-day basis. The third item is the leadership direction. We're very passionate about really just having that strategy in place and measuring the return on investment of AI. And we really do believe that that comes with leadership direction. And the last item is just making sure that we understand that we're no longer just experimenting with AI, but we're really changing the way in which we do our day-to-day, and it's becoming an element that does require and is a part of our real execution.
Awesome. I was then distracted. I was reading a question from Paul in the chat. Paul, will make sure you get a copy of the presentation. Thank you, Selby. I'd say, a takeaway is you don't want to get discouraged. Copilot is built for the workplace, but it can only work as well as your organization's setup. So Paul brought up some frustrations he's had in using Copilot. Paul, I think in that situation, it's important for us to sit down with you and go through some of the features of the application, and we can probably help you figure out some shortcuts to make sure you have a better user experience. But when we talk about the plumbing team, we talk about the data. So if you are asking Copilot to provide you with a report and you want it to be accurate, but your SharePoint and OneDrive are not set up for optimal Copilot use, that's when you're going to have issues, right? So it's important to understand how you want to set up the folders, the access. If not, it will not be as great of an experience for you to get something more customized. My pleasure, Paul. Kahoot time. So we will get, Hugo's going to pop up the Kahoot. He's going to steal the screen from me. Why do we do Kahoot? We do Kahoot because this is meant to teach, and we want to make sure that you retain. So whoever wins the Kahoot, you want to log on to www.kahoot.it. You can also do it from your phone if you like. Whoever wins this Kahoot, you can just let Hugo know the $25 gift card that you want, and he will send it over. Feel free to use fun names, but if you use a fun name, just make sure you let us know who you are if you win. I'll give it another 60 seconds. The other thing I will say is when you answer the question, the speed at which you're going to answer the question with will impact your score. I'll give it another 30 seconds and then we'll get started. Ready? Okay, Hugo, let's get started. Don't worry, if you're joining right now, you'll be added in as you go. All right, client webinar, January 2026. Question number 1. What major shift happened with Copilot in 2026? It added more emojis. It stopped working in Word and Excel. It became only a mobile app. It moved from assistance to operational intelligence. Awesome. Perfect score. Nice work, everyone. We've got Pat in the lead. Second question, what is the key difference in how Copilot works in 2026? It only responds to short prompts. It powers how work gets done, not just tasks. It is used only for email. It works without internet. I'd love to be in Hugo's brain and see how he comes up with these answers. All right, 11 right. Nice work. All right, Jamie now in the lead. Question 3, what is needed for organizations to see real ROI from Copilot? Changing workflows and giving clear leadership direction, hiring more staff, buying more laptops, using Copilot only once per week. Changing workflows and giving clear leadership direction. Who's in the lead? Pat's back in the lead. What did the presentation say about the AI gains organizations experience in 2025? They were instant and automatic. There were enterprise-wide transformations. Gains were small and inconsistent. The productivity gains were in the pockets, not across the organization. Productivity gains were in pockets, not across the organization. Awesome. Halfway there. Jamie and Pat, head lead. What is one of the key benefits Copilot unlocks for users in 2026? Instant answers across Teams, Outlook, etc. Automatic meeting prep summaries and follow-up. Less chasing, checking, and status updating, or all of the above? All of the above. That's on a streak. 3 more questions. According to the presentation, what type of organizations get the best results from Copilot? Those with the most apps installed? Those with the clearest leadership direction? Those that ignore workflow redesign? Those that only use Copilot in Outlook? Those with the clearest leadership direction. Pat's still in the lead. 2 more questions. What does Copilot increasingly drive in 2026? File storage limits, gaming performance, screen brightness, workflows, not just responses. Workflows, not just responses. Nice work, everyone. Final question. Let's see if Pat can hang on. One more. 2026 is the year to move from testing AI to using fewer digital tools, using it for everything, real execution, finally deciding if your org will benefit from AI. Real execution. Okay, let's see who the winner is. Pat is the winner. I apologize, everybody. I was just answering our chat. We do have some policies and guidelines around using AI. Pat, nice work. JV's number 2, 406-424 number 3. We're happy to share. Ruby, I just put in my email. If you want to reach out to me directly, I'm happy to support you on that. Paul, please reach out to me as well. We'll get you all sorted. And to end it off, we do these webinars for you as our clients. We want you to learn. We want you to feel empowered. So Hugo's going to share a quick poll just to make sure that you're getting the value you need from these webinars. And if you have any subjects that you want us to talk about, right now we're doing a series on Copilot, but please share with us. I say this at the end of every webinar, but nothing makes us happier than creating content that brings value to you. So just let us know and we'll be sure to incorporate it. But we want to say thank you so much for your time. Selby, thank you for your help and your assistance in presenting. Hugo, thank you for your help with the deck. And tell our clients, thanks for making the time. Always nice to share some space. Until next time, enjoy your day.